Support for the Players, the Pop Culturist PlayStation podcast, is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the ultimate men's hygiene bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code FTP at au.manscaped.com. If my math is correct, and it might just be, that's about 8 million balls.
For the Players.
I'm Ryan Betson.
And I'm Paul James.
And this is For the Players, the pop culturist PlayStation podcast with over 40 years of playing PlayStation and 10 plus years, and that games media combined. We'd like to thank you for joining us in this PlayStation conversation. This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on your podcast services, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to join the conversation, you can head over to our socials, Facebook, Twitter, Discord, Instagram, whatever. It's all the links in the description below. But if you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculturist, where you can watch us record the show live, where you can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. If you are listening as a podcast service, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. And if you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopculturist, as well as our merchandise store, popculturist.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit without logos on it. Or you can help support the brands, help support us, just like our friends over at Manscaped. But we'll have more to say about them in the future. Midpage!
Were you about to... Did you nearly call me Max?
A little bit.
Surely,
Just a little bit.
after having done the entire preamble yourself, then you would have triggered.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. So, Paul is joining us today, and I'll probably call you Max before the end of the show again.
Great.
But it is. We were just discussing how, when you get so in that motion for now, what is 255 episodes or something? The second you get thrown out, you're like,
5,232 episodes.
Yeah, so many. But yes,
episodes.
Max
So
Cooper,
it's PlayStation.
he is away. He is off in Phillip Island. Not very happy about it because he's off hanging out with his in-laws. But that's what he is doing. So instead, we have the almost accidental third guest, because whenever there's an empty space, fucking Padge just comes on in.
Bradbury on in.
Yeah, you are.
This is my chance to shine.
You are substitute Padge, and you're going. How have you been, man? It's been a very long time since we've had you on.
Has it? I suppose it's been a few months at least.
It's been a couple
of
months.
Early this year.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm busy. Always busy. Plenty of podcasts, plenty of writing, plenty of games that need reviewing. Look, I guess we'll get it out of the way now because it's the first time I've been on the show since. I have sold myself a little bit, and I joined Xbox for one night only there. If we recall, I went to the Xbox showcase here in Melbourne.
Fortress, was it?
I returned to yes, it was at Fortress in Melbourne. I returned to the team kind of hand in hand and head bowed a little bit and looking for forgiveness, but I've seen the light again. I'm back.
No, I get it. I understand. You're infiltrating from the inside. You know what I mean? You're going in there like, oh man, how good's Xbox? You're like, but how good's PlayStation?
Well, Larry Herb was there, and I just walked over to him like, Larry, have you played a PlayStation 5?
How about that M.2 drive? It's pretty sweet, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, Larry, do you know the God of War release date?
Yeah. But when you say you've been shilling, you've been doing a lot. Like you now write for games ranks. You do obviously all the Player 2 stuff you've been doing for the longest time. Of course, Dev Diary is still going hard, and you've got some exciting ones coming up from that one too. So go check that out. But you've also done you do a sportsing podcast now.
Yeah, even as we speak right now, the other screen here, Geelong is playing right now, and that is the sportsing subject of choice for me. Every week it's a weekly show, unlike Dev Diary. I interview people in and around the Geelong Footy Club, which is it's a nice challenge in the sense that like the formula is very similar to what I have with Dev Diary, but the nature of the guests, the stories they've been through, and even just like I guess what's public knowledge.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more digging that I have to do to get everything I want out of Dev Diary. Whereas with this, there's so much that's just public knowledge, or they're a public like really, I guess, more traditional public figure as well. So there's just a lot of stuff that I've just learnt over the years without even having to dig. So it's a weird one, but something I'm really enjoying.
Well, obviously, being the massive Geelong Cats supporter that you are, it's almost perfect that you get to do that. How did that even come about?
The guy kind of had his the brand, the overall brand, I guess, is called The Hoop Show. But he kind of got his platform going. I think I just threw a follow on Twitter, and then I think recognizing that I was a Geelong fan, I think he's trying to build up the following, so followed me back. Then like I'm posting about Dev Diary, and the idea came about that, hey, why don't you try and kind of replicate the idea, but for all things footy? And so that's where we're at.
And you're like, son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah. And I guess the thing that, I guess, outside of, again, what I just said, that even finding the news and being able to kind of start the conversation and have the facts at my disposal is a lot easier in this case. He also acts as like a manager for me. He goes and sources all the guests for me.
Oh, like even the hard part of Dev Diary.
That's the hardest part. He just goes and does it all for me.
Amazing.
First episode was with an extra long player as of only a couple of years ago. Like, it was awesome. All right, sweet.
Sounds like everything's coming up, Padge, which is awesome.
Yeah, for now. The shit'll hit the fan soon.
It
always does.
Oh, always does. Oh, man, speaking of shit hitting the fan, that's like my fucking existence right now. When it comes to like work or whatever. It's the end of term, so it's like fucking bonkers, getting everything all wrapped up and tidy, and then, end of financial year, so budgets and all that stuff got to get done, and then readjusting everyone to this new funding body, and then I just have to essentially re-roster everyone, all the staff, and then all the clients, and oh my god, I've just spent the majority of this week staring at a screen. And then when I wasn't at a screen, I was then driving to Werribee to like go meet and greet for some new clients. We're about to open a new site over there in Werribee, and then I'm hiking on back, and I'm driving around, and then I'm watching some wrestling and playing some games, and that's my week.
It keeps you busy.
It does. Like I have been very busy, and of course I've always making time for my boy as well. It's holidays next week, so it's holidays this week for him.
School holidays now,
but I get next week off. It's my I don't have scheduled leave of my term structure at my job. So I'm taking a couple of days out. Normally I'd not, but I'm going to, because James is he's out of school. His mum's still working, so I'm like, come hang out at Dad's. So we're all gonna spend some time together next week.
Party time.
I'm excited. Yeah, he's
Plenty
like
dus.
Oh, we're gonna
Does he still say dus?
Yeah,
is dus still a thing?
Dus still a thing. He knows what wrestling is, but he still calls it dus, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, okay.
So we've got a bunch of things lined up because we'll talk about that, because in terms of what we've been playing, like as he has sort of jumped in on the game train over last week. I touched upon it a little bit last week. In terms of the games, I did a big download from the PS Plus, so I'd love to hear your thoughts about the PS Plus too. But I keep getting video calls from him, which is great. He just calls me and goes, "Dad, I'm playing Secret Neighbor and I got to be the neighbor." And then he told me everything that he does as the neighbor, and how he found all the keys, and how he choked out all these children, and all this sort of stuff, which is it's awesome. Like, he's really
choked out all these children.
Yeah.
Great.
As my
wholesome
son,
family fun.
Yeah, like as like every other 5-year-old, he's like in love with YouTube. So
yeah, all his favorite YouTubers are playing it.
Yeah, so to give him something that's not watching YouTube, like because he's least interacting with it. Like, yeah, he still gets a lot of screen time, but like as myself, like I'm in front of a screen all the time with the nature of what I do here and work and just what I do to wind down. And then same as his mum. His mum loves watching TVs and movies and shows, etc. So like we can't be like, well, you can't look at a screen as we're all sitting there doing and working and
looking at your screens. Yeah.
So we're a bit flexible on that. But yeah, this is a great way. He's interacting. He's hand-eye coordination. It's frustration tolerance. All the things that my job does, I'm passing on to my son. Like getting in there now and early. But yes, he's been playing that. He's been playing the Toy Story 2 PS1 Classic. He played a little bit of Ape
downloaded
Escape.
that. Got to give that a crack.
Played a little bit of the Ape Escapes, which that game handles like a butthole. There's a lot of nostalgia wrapped in that game. And
I have no nostalgia for that game. And so, I can come at it pretty cleanly and just say, handles like dog shit.
That's where I'm at. I'm like, I remember it, but I don't think I ever had it. And I'm going, this is bum. It's a real bum.
Yeah. But I guess whatever floats your boat.
But yeah, before we get into the
If
other
you
games,
like shit games, you can play shit games, everyone.
yeah, look, I fucking love shit games. You know, well, not Zach Jackson of well played level shit games. He is renowned for his love of the shit games.
Yeah, and he makes it worse. And I guess the timing is good to reference this. Like, there's been an update on his well played Open Critic Challenge. This year is the worst year of games he's presented for us to. I didn't see where you were, but I was not in a position that I was happy with at all.
Oh, probably further down then.
So, and it shows the standard because Matt Houston's second. But the random shit that gets thrown out there, like, oh, you know, predict the Open Critic score for this game, and it's, I don't know, My Little Pony 16. Like,
well, the problem was there was no, like, all the big titles didn't have locked in dates when we started.
Then just have a mid-year update. Put like 4 games in there because that's all we were going to get. You know, I don't know, Horizon, Elden Ring, Tunic. What else have we had? Pokemon
Quarry.
Arceus. Like, there was a few of those you could go and pop in, and then just let's update it at mid-year. Here's round 2.
The amount of Googling
then
I
we don't
had
have
to
to
do for the Open
What
Critic.
is this game? Yeah.
It's fucked.
Like, I couldn't just look and go, oh, I don't know what it's going to get. My first question was, what the hell is this thing first? And then go from there. So that says all you need to know about the Open Critic Challenge. It's completely irrelevant, people. If I'm 10th, like, it shows that the thing's flawed.
But look, you know, it's just, I'm putting this out there for Zach. I don't believe he listens.
We love you, Zach.
We love you, Zach. And everyone should know that Homefront: The Revolution is on PS Plus. If you have Essential or if you have Deluxe or high or Extra or higher, so Extra or Deluxe, you can play Homefront: The Revolution. Zach endorsed. Sadly, Troll and I is not on there. But he can at least get one of his top 2 favorite games of all time, at least.
Ooh.
Or no Porsche Challenge though. That's the one PS classic that he'll want. In the same way that it doesn't have Harvest Moon: Back to Nature, which makes me sad. But it doesn't.
That's
it also does not have Shame on Cricket 99.
We got time. They've got time. They can fix this.
And look, you know, they can put it up there as, like, you know, posthumously because, you know, he's since passed, and it's sort of like, you know, be like, oh man, Shame Warm, what a dude. Put that up there, the PS Classics. Would that be an instant download for you?
100%, and especially if there were trophies in there. Yeah. Holy shit! Like, I would have spent hundreds of hours on that relatively poor cricket game back in the day, and I will spend hundreds of hours playing it
all over again.
Aged even worse now. Like, I'll do it again in a heartbeat.
But what are you like? So that's before we dive into all the other big games that we've been playing. But tell me about your PS Plus experience, because Max and I chatted about it last week, and you know, for those that may not have checked out last week, both he and I are like, cool, it's great, it's kind of a good start. There's not a lot of classics, PS1 or PS2. The lack of PS Now is really killing us here in Australia, because a lot of PS3 games are missing. There's not even close to the 700 games everyone else is getting promised. We don't know who it's for. It's not for the hardcores, and it's kind of not for... It's best for the new people, but, like, it's in a weird little space. But that's where we stand. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I mean, I think our first... I guess for the first time there's an update and they start adding more games into it, that's going to give us a clearer picture of how this thing's going to start to look, because I'm okay with them starting light. That's fine. If we're going to get, you know, 4 or 5, you know, batches of 4 or 5 plus games every month, for example. Like, if it's a monthly turnaround, like 4 to 5 is not a lot when you've got, you know, you've probably got a team of at least a few dozen, which is probably all that something like this requires to kind of go through, update, make sure trophies are in there, make sure you got your PAL and NTSC versions and all those sorts of things that they've had to kind of learn through this initial rollout, and then get the next release out there. And then next month, okay, we're doing this, and this. And we've obviously already seen some rating stuff from games that are going to be coming. Resistance Retribution's been rated on the PSP. There was a whole bunch of the other Siphon Filter games that have all been rated. I think that was in Korea or somewhere like that. I can't remember. Yeah, their ratings board's just a little bit, I don't know. No good. They can't keep a good secret. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be more about what that cadence is like going forward. But beyond that, in terms of what I've played, I've tried out Ape Escape. I've jumped back into Echo Chrome.
Oh yeah,
if you recall that one. That broke my brain when I was younger, and it's doing so again now. Like, nothing's changed. And what's the other one? because they just kind of stealth dropped it, I also took on, oh shit, Housemarque's game.
Oh, Matterfall.
No,
Returnal?
Matterfall's a piece. No, I still mean classics. I mean classics. PSP game. It's a twin stick shooter.
Dead Nation.
What's their Stardust?
Oh,
yeah,
Super
sure,
Stardust Ultra, whatever.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
Super Stardust
but,
Ultra.
but portable. Yeah. Basically, it was the very first of all those Stardust games anyway, and yeah, I took that for a spin. It's interesting, kind of, because I didn't play it on the PSP. I kind of jumped in, I think, when it first came to PS3. So it's interesting to see how the franchise has kind of developed over the years, like having that bit of extra context now. So there's a nice historical component to the whole thing, but again, most people aren't going to be ponying up for that. So they need to start dropping some bigger hitters and at a semi-decent pace.
Very much so. Because, yeah, it's there's a lot of big... There's all those big PS4 games in there as well, and some nice PS5 games. But similar to us, Padge, if not more, you are in that position where you have played near on every big game that appears on these lists. So it's kind of we're just not for us particularly, but for those that can only pick up 2 or 3 games a year, like it's absolute can blow them all away in just complete.
That said, I guess, like there are still some new releases that fit the bill. I'm sure you've downloaded a few. I personally have jumped on and I started playing it today. Was playing Shadow Warrior 3 because that is leaving the service next week.
It is.
So I made, and it's like a 5.5 hour long game. So I'm like, sweet, I'm going to bust through this thing, play it before I have to pay up to try it. So I'm having decent fun with it, which is good. But again, I guess those sort of titles that are coming in and out at the moment smack a lot of what we've seen from Game Pass, where a lot of the titles are kind of coming in and out of sevens. They're swimming in sevens, all the Game Pass.
Yeah, there's a lot of like fine games, a lot of good games, but there's very little that like blows me. One thing I noticed last week when I was dicking about, I'm like, there's all these old like fantastic PS1, first party PlayStation 4 games. Where the fuck's the order? Speaking of Zach again, where's the order? Why?
I'm all about the order as well.
Yeah, it's super weird. But I myself haven't been dicking about too much in the PS Plus games because this week I did roll credits on the Quarry.
Sweet. Still haven't started yet.
Game is slow start, really engaging middle. Like, fuck, it's so good. And then it piddles out in the end.
It ends with a wet fart.
Yeah, right? Just because as it tries to close everything up, it's just like, okay, cool. And then it suddenly just ends. At least for me, it did. Like, maybe just the way that my playthrough went. Like, it just goes, and you go, oh, okay. So, like, there's a nice big, like, there's a relatively big final fight. But then it kind of just, and then that's it. It's a bit disappointing. But, like, those middle... Like the whole build up and when they start expanding on the world and the lore, like it really just is just I pun intended. I just want to fucking sink my teeth into it because it's just like give me because like it's hitting.
I don't know anything else. I don't know what sort
all
of
these different. The thing about it is very similar to how like Until Dawn was very reminiscent of a particular genre of a horror movie. What they've done here is they've taken the best parts of like a creature feature with a cabin in the woods with like the hills have eyes, which I've mentioned this a number of times, and I'll mention it even more in the coming week when an episode of
More the Players
with Kat over from Hear Us Scream, her, myself, and Max break down all the story. We're gonna have her with her expertise, knowledge of horror genre, and how it goes through for her. But gameplay's still shit, just because it controls like butt. But the QTEs are pretty straightforward. But as we come to learn, it was previously a Stadia game, so the QTEs couldn't be too hard,
too complicated. They had to allow for some of the latency and those sorts of things you're going to get through streaming.
Yep, bingo. And the water is the butt, but like it's good. I really enjoyed rolling credits on it. Like, okay, cool, nice.
Because Stadium can't do water. Stadia, sorry.
Apparently it can't, no. But the one thing I also booted up Far Cry 6 because it's been a whole 20 minutes or so, and I haven't mentioned my brand spanking new TV that I'm in love with.
Yes.
One of the biggest problems that I had with Far Cry 6 is performance. I had screen tearing, I had judders, I had all these major problems when playing it on my old TV. Not here.
And now, yeah.
Thanks to the beauty of the TV with 120 hertz and its VRR, completely resolves all those issues that I was having from a visual standpoint. It runs smoother.
Sweet.
Like there's not a single screen tear. Like it almost feels like it runs better and smoother, and I can't explain it. It's really good. So like I'll be going back to that a little bit. I did have to delete it in order to make room for another game that I'm playing now. Which is so good to be back playing games again, man.
Being in the right headspace for
when
it.
I had that time, I wasn't into it, and then now I'm so happy to be back, because especially with the game that I've been playing today. Now you don't have a lot to say on this one, but
nothing yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So over on Friday at time of recording, which was Saturday, so it was Friday yesterday. I did get a lovely email from the team over at Bandai Namco and Square here in Australia, and they whipped me over a code for the Outriders Worldslayer DLC, which Outriders, I think my number 2 game of last year. It only lost just behind Resident Evil Village. Mostly because with Village I enjoyed the story and the gameplay. But with Outriders,
and you still want to get stood on the by this tall vampire lady, don't you?
Yeah, that did help. No, it's her daughters. I was a big fan of her daughters more than her. Those little, like little emo looking goth chicks. That was my shit.
Yep.
But Outriders, the story was always a bit weird, but the gameplay is absolutely exceptional. And booting it up. Booting it up today and then just jumping back into the world of Outriders. It's exactly where I left off. Like I had done pretty much near on everything. I did all the world nonsense. I'd done all the levels, and I was in the end game stuff. And then to jump back in, and it feels like that old comfortable jumper. It's nice and warm and toasty, and it fits just the way you remember. And you go, oh my God, I haven't been in this jumper for so long, and it feels so good.
And we both need warmth because it's cold
So
in both
fucking
of our
cold.
respective locations.
But that is what Outriders is doing for me right now. I jump in and I'm like, this is exactly what I remember. It's giving me these warm, cozy feelings, because the second that I start running and getting behind those boxes and just doing the whole wave looter shooter Division 2-esque gameplay,
yeah, the loop.
but on the space, and that loop starts kicking in, I'm just like, oh. And I just want to eat it all up. And even then, because now, obviously I had done all the main game. I had made my way into the end game. So I'm now jumping into the new, tier structure, which is the accolade tier and the apocalypse tier. So I get to essentially, even though I've done everything in the main game, they're like, well, world tier, which is what you were on, that's done.
Yep.
Here's your new one for the new area. And I'm like, oh, I get to start at 0 again, but with all my good shit, it's like a new game plus. So I'm just starting to rip through these tiers. That difficulty keeps spiking. I'm just stacking up loot. I'm just having the greatest time in the world. And then
I'm finally going to start, and our Twitter interaction today is we're going to jump in and play some together at some point. My God, you're just going to carry me.
Oh, I'm more than happy to. I'm more than happy just to carry you all the way through, because it's just fun. It's so much fun. The story's fucking stupid and weird, but not even a good Kojima weird. It's just weird. But
yeah, okay.
It's just that moment to moment gameplay. You're coming into an area and very similar to Uncharted. You see those waist high boxes, and you're like, it's fucking time.
Oh, here we go. Let's go.
Yeah, and then you jump behind stuff and just unrailing things and using your cool anomaly powers as the accolade you are.
Okay, I guess the important thing, to keep in mind with Outriders, whether it's Worldslayer or the core game itself, is the fact that it is developed by People Can Fly, and People Can Fly have got a bit of experience with that cover-based shooter because they developed Gears Judgment back in the day, and so obviously that's exactly the same as Uncharted in that kind of a whole bunch of boxes. Whatever it is, barrels, whatever kind of combination of environmental things, and big concrete things that you can kind of jump behind. It's that same sort of formula in some ways.
And it is, and so that's essentially what they've done is they've brought Gears over, and they replaced one meathead dude with a different meathead dude who has powers. So it's awesome. So if you love Gears, it's absolutely exceptional. Now, like, I've really only a couple of hours in, so essentially, from a very basic story point, for those that remember, the idea of Outriders is that Earth is all kinds of fucked. So everyone gets in a ship and they fuck off in the galaxy somewhere else. The idea is they find this other planet that is more inhabitable, and they would go, and then this would be the new homeworld.
Yep.
But when we get there, you find out there's this massive thing called the Anomaly, which is this essential giant world storm that's just fucking everything up. And then it's all connected, and that anomaly is what gives people powers and blah, 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 blah. By the end of the game, you kind of, as you would expect, you have a bit more control over the anomaly. It's not as bad as it once was. A lot of the big bads are sort of gone. But knowing that it was essentially wanting to be a, live service game with, different end game tiers and stuff, they did leave it open enough for it to expand, and that's what this DLC does. It then goes, hey, the anomaly's gotten worse. Let's go. Okay. And they're like, hey, it's pinpoint, like, all the, what's making it worse is in this new location over there. I'm like, okay, let's go.
And so it puts you in a whole other region, though, or like other
it's a whole other region.
Things, or is it all stuff? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's a whole other region. So the map itself sort of goes, the idea is you start west and you make your way east. Hang on, that way on the camera. West, east. So that way, as you start moving your way across the continent or the map or whatever. And then, so this is a whole different area. Similar concept, west to east, because east is where all the real weird shit is. It's kind of the opposite horizon. So it's a whole new area. Point. So this area is a lot more Arctic. It's hence all the imagery very similar to that of Monster Hunter Iceborne, or even Forbidden West. Horizon Zero Dawn's Frozen Wilds. Like, hey, it's a new area and it's just fucking icy. So with that comes a bunch of cool new imagery, and with like the HDRs, it's reflective and it's beautiful, and the PS5 version is sick and tight. And
it looks great on your TV.
It does, and it runs.
You got a new TV.
It's got a new TV. It's so good, and it runs smooth as butter. It runs smoother than I remember, which is even better again. Which really helps when you start getting swarmed by the different what are they called? Insurgents. As they start swarming you just quickly start whipping around, and because there's no screen tearing, it's all pretty, at least from my experience, like, you can tell I'm excited because I'm all fucking hyped up.
Man, I'm keen to get into it, and you're just amping me up even more.
Yeah, man, I'm really, really enjoying it, and it was exactly what I wanted. Like, as I said, like, I've had time away, and I mentioned last week how the Quarry did kind of bring that back as I fell back into the games a little bit. And that was nice, but like now, I'm just like, oh, okay, this is the not even junk food game that I needed. It might just be exactly what I needed.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, man.
Because I've been playing that and Game Dev Story, which is one of those old Kairosoft mobile games, but on the on the PS4. So I've been like, oh, do some Game Dev Story. I can just zone out at the end of the day and just build games. And my studio is called Butt Play Studios. So all my games are all inappropriately titled games.
Yep.
So that makes me chuckle. No one ever can see the games but me. But, I've got a couple of Hall of Fame games that are really inappropriately named.
Hall of Fame games. That's up your arsenal, just like Ratchet.
It was a bit more obvious than that. Like there was a golfing sim which is called Any Hole's a Goal. It's just, there was a robot shooter which was called Automated Loads. And then I did, because that was a Hall of Fame game, then I was able to do a sequel. So that was Automated Loads 2 Come Again. That was an easy title. It's just little things like that, which is fun. And then there's a pirate game that I made, and that was just Booty. That was an easy. These little things that just make me chuckle as I'm playing the game. But yeah, those two of them combined this week has kind of relit that spark. And like the second time for recorded the show here, I've got to duck out for a minute, but then I'm gonna come back. I'm just gonna fucking play more of that. And I've got plans tomorrow morning, but I'm gonna be tired because I'm just gonna fucking play. I'm just itching to play more Outriders.
Yeah, man. I guess the thing is, and a bit like your Division 2 experience, you're playing it all solo, aren't you?
Absolutely. Sorry, I was having a drink at the same time. absolutely completely. Like, at no point did I play Outriders with fucking anyone.
I can't wait to force that change up on you, just like I did with the Division 2.
Yeah, but like it's one of those things. But I don't mind. Like the fact that I don't have to play with other people is the biggest selling point to me.
Yeah.
So like there's a difference between having to play with other people and having the option to. So when you and I played the Division 2, we had the option to play together. Otherwise, we could have just ran it solo. You know,
and we did. Yeah, we did for the most part. Like I think at that time I was potentially further into the game than you, or maybe, and so like I just jumped in while you completed some early missions or whatever earlier missions than what I'd done, and we just chatted the whole time, played it out as well. It was good shit.
Yeah, because Max has got it as well, and he wants to jump into the DLC as too, which would be awesome. So like within the 3, like it's a squad of 4, I think, maybe even 3. Like we may just have it in the bag. You know what I'm saying? Like
I'll get myself up to speed and go from there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's not a super long game, is it?
Not really.
Like the core game, yeah.
It does feel longer than it should be, but like if you get that momentum going, and if I come in and like, pardon me, carry you a little bit, you're fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll get myself up to speed pretty quick anyway. And again, those Gears style Uncharted style cover-based shooters are right up my alley, so it won't take me long to settle in.
Yeah. So like So I will have more to say over the next week because I'm pretty sure I'll get it done by next week. Because like even though the story itself is like it's just propelling the gameplay forward for me. You know, you're heading into this area that's been uncharted before, and the thing called the Black Gulch or some nonsense. Whatever. Like I've already found like one mini boss that like you kind of punches your face in for a little bit. Like, you know, the game does this really good thing where it does escalate as you play from a difficulty, and then it'll hit a boss, and the boss will fuck you for a while, and then once you clear it, like very similar to I guess that sort of, you know, that I don't want to say that dark. I guess the same psychology of Dark Souls, I guess, in that you just keep running it, you keep running it, you keep running it, you keep running it, and then eventually you get it, and you go, yes, and you have this giant boner, and then you just keep going on forward, you know. So that's where it's at for me, and you know, like I got absolutely pounded in this little this one boss called the Fisherman, and then once I'm through him, I'm like, let's keep on going.
Yeah, right. And so even as level up as you are, that loop is still challenging in just the right.
Yeah, well,
just the right amounts.
Yeah, because of that world, because
the
that constant scaling with the tiers or the difficulty tiers. If you get punched too hard, just bump it back a couple, you know, and then as you beat that area, you go sweet, and you pop it back up, you know, and like the only penalty is that the loot that will drop in that encounter just
scales back a bit.
Yeah, just scales back a little bit. And you go, all right, cool, and then you just sell it and buy the gear you want, and then keep moving up. You know, it's a ton of fun. What about you, man? What have you been playing?
Look, for the most part, in fact, like I mentioned, obviously, Shadow Warrior 3 before, like that's the first PlayStation game I've played in quite a while, actually. And not because I jumped on the Xbox bandwagon, because I've been totally like sucked in with Nintendo.
Yeah, you've been reviewing up a storm over there.
Yeah, I've been reviewing all the stuff that they've been sending through, which was Mario Strikers and then Fire Emblem and even now like Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak has just come out, so that's going to keep me preoccupied as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of time with the Switch at the moment, but at the same time, I do want to I am playing Shadow Warrior for the reasons we mentioned before, that I want to be able to get that one done before it falls out of extra, and then Outriders obviously for the reasons we've just discussed. I do want to go and play the Quarry. And again, we're getting really close to that period where the games start coming thick and thin, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later. But like October is just going to be ridiculous. So just get myself into that rhythm again, and you know, most of the Nintendo stuff will all be behind me. I've made the conscious decision that I am not going to be reviewing Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because I don't have 60 hours, even if I've got a month to review it. That I'm not
Jesus.
Even if I had that long, that's not, because I've been flat chat with work stuff and family stuff, and we mentioned before with games writing, podcasts, all those sorts of things. Like, I don't have a 60-hour JRPG where I'm working to a timeline in me right now. As it is, Fire Emblem, I didn't hit the embargo, and Fire Emblem's half the length. So it's just, and now admittedly I had other kind of bits and pieces show up. Again, work kind of absolutely crucified me in that time when the review embargo was coming up, and so I just didn't hit it. But right now I just need to be able to take half a step back and play some games I want to play just because I want to play them. Like stuff that I'm really, and again, not that like I love Fire Emblem, I love a Musou, Max. I'm sure you're watching or listening now. You had the opportunity to play this game on your drive up to, where do you go again? Phillip Island. You had that opportunity. You pissed it away. Mario Strikers was awesome. Like I haven't played any bad games, but I'm looking forward to just kind of playing what I want for non-reviewing purposes for a little while.
Well, yeah, so because it sounds like the opposite of where I was. So I had all these review games I was supposed to play, and then I just didn't because I didn't want to. Thankfully, Max was able to pick up the slack for me.
Pick up the slack for you.
But yeah, so like maybe I think there'll be a little bit of me going back and sort of hopefully jumping into some of the ones that I from earlier in the year. We might go finish like Tiny Tina's, etc. Things like that.
Oh, Tiny Tina's so good.
Yeah, especially now that's on the there's a game trial as well on the PS Plus. So I'm sure there's some people that probably want to jump in there. I've got mates that have it, like you, Craig. Oh no, Craig can't play first person shooters. He doesn't have quite the dexterity. It's not his wheelhouse first persons. But
that's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. But anyway, I might go do a little bit of that. Might pick up some of those things.
Well, I mean, similar to Outriders. Let me know if you want to play some Tiny Tina. I'll jump in with you.
Oh yeah, I'm super keen. But yeah, so that pretty much ticks all your boxes, man. There's nothing else major to report.
No, nothing else really. Again, I think like I'm just at a point where I'm starting to warm up to kind of really start cracking into some games properly.
Yeah.
It was that end of term 2 sort of craziness that stopped me from doing a lot of what I wanted to do, and now that that's done, I can get back to the good shit.
Yeah, and I guess also off the back of my E3 apathy, my APA E3, I guess. Yeah. I just didn't fucking care about anything that came out of that, that Summer Games Fest week or whatever. So just to have something that garners my attention is awesome. But
like God of War.
Let's keep moving on forward to that. This is the section when we do a big old shill. Now, now, Padge, because I'm not gonna make you talk about the front areas of Manscaped. Let's press this button. Oh, I knew it would flip around because it's set to Max and I, but I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to crop it in real hard on my face like that, and I'm going to read out this ad for Manscaped. Now, the internet this week, Padge, has been going absolutely crazy and just absolutely threatening to whip their dicks out in front of all these game devs on Twitter. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But as expected, it isn't helping the cause. It's not getting them what they want. But maybe it's because they don't have well-kept front areas. I think it's very possible.
Could be something simple like that, yeah.
But yeah, so it's a shame. Like, maybe they haven't heard of Manscaped, which is a little bit hard to imagine with over 4 million men worldwide have access and have been using Manscaped, the leaders in male grooming and their male grooming with their 4th generation performance package to get your God of Wang area under control by going. I don't know where I was going with that.
Get your Thor's hammer.
Oh, that's right. Get your Mjolnir, all
Mjolnir,
male kept. You can, but if you head over to au.manscaped.com, you get yourself 20% off and free worldwide shipping if you use that code FTP. Because Manscaped, they have the right tools for your jewels. With that, as before mentioned, Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Inside that beautiful package, you get all these things to help your package, including their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver toner, the Performance Boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies in. It is everything you need to make your balls a priority, which, is probably more important than harassing people about release dates for games, but that's cool.
Yeah.
But that 4th generation trimmer we mentioned features a cutting-edge ceramic blade, that reduces grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology, and also gives the ability to use their 4000K LED where spotlight, which you can turn on and off as needed. So when you shave your front area in the dark, it's all covered. Maybe it's dark down there. There's not a lot of undercarriage lighting normally, so it's not a bad thing to have. Plus, it is also waterproof. But as mentioned, that package does come with the Weed Whacker, which is Max's favorite tool of choice, as it can chop your worst weeds up the top, that are all up in your schnoz and in your ear holes. These nose and hair trimmers use a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system to provide proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Hot.
Look, I got the weed whacker. It's handy for those nose hairs.
That's right. It sure is. But that is not everything. That's not the only thing that Manscaped offer. They also offer these awesome brand new dick holders. These are the Manscaped boxes, the 2.0s. They do come with the proprietary jewel pouch. It's a pouch designed to cradle your boys in their own special space lined with perforated performance fabric to keep them well ventilated for all those gaming sessions when you're sitting down and you're getting all that swamp crutch going on. Ain't gonna happen when you're rocking those Manscaped Boxer Briefs 2.0. And because gamers come in all shapes and sizes, they do have from upwards of small, the old Page size, to the 3XL, to like the old Betson size, everything you need for your waist, not your pangus, Page. Chill out.
It's all right.
quick backpedal on my part.
My wife says I'm all right.
But of course, finally, Manscaped have moved beyond your down under by releasing the Ultra Premium Collection. This is their full body collection that includes shampoo, body wash, moisturized deodorant, everything that will keep you smelling fucking hot. So when you do stop playing them games and harassing people on Twitter, you go outside, everyone's gonna be like, damn, that dude smells nice and he doesn't smell like Lynx Africa. This is a plus. Maybe they want to get your smooch on. Manscaped does not guarantee you'll get your smooch on, but I'm sure it will work in your favor. If you want to use Manscaped to get your smooch on, head over to au.manscaped.com. Use the promo code FTP. Get yourself 20% off and free worldwide shipping. That again, au.manscaped.com. Use the promo code FTP. Save yourself 20% off and get free worldwide shipping. Your front area will thank you. That button. There we go. All right, now we get to the section called Inform the Players. We tell you about what happened this week in PlayStation.
And speaking of dicks,
hashtag dicks out for Kratos. Now, the God of War Ragnarok release date was allegedly planned to be revealed on the 30th US time, according to some bullshit binary nonsense on a picture. But a change of plans has apparently happened behind the scenes, which means we'll have to keep waiting. This delay was preempted.
Yeah, dicks in our hands.
Yeah, we're sitting there with dicks in our hands being like, what do we do with this? The delay was preempted by Sony Santa Monica's Quarry overnight at the time of recording, where he pleaded with the fans for patience. Previously, the social media sneakster, the Snitch, had riddled that announcement was due on said day. And of course, this was corroborated by Jason Schreier and Tom Henderson, both whom have since reported that the announcement had been pushed back. But Sony apparently has videos ready to run showcasing the game's collector's edition. And I see Padge's eyes open and his ears poke and he sits up in his seat. Because
I've already got the money set aside.
Oh, yeah. Because
tossed $500 in an account the other day.
I don't, but I will find it. I will find it. While the PS blog post apparently planned to confirm the development is progressing well, no gameplay was scheduled. So according to Henderson, the collector's edition will feature a 1-to-1 replica of Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, as well as some badges and other pieces of paraphernalia. But if you're not interested in all the odds and ends, which why the fuck would you not be? There's an alternative Jotnar edition, which will be available, which will just come with the game and the hammer. I'm going to get the fancy pants with the hammer and all this sort of crap. But look,
I'm going all out.
Oh yeah, same. But as the expectation reached new peaks, quote-unquote fans of God of War were taking their enthusiasm to disgusting new lows. Estelle Tagani, a cinematics producer on the sequel, noted on Twitter that she had received harassment in the form of unsolicited dick pics, which so-called fans were sending in, quote, exchange for more information on the game. What the fuck is wrong with all you people? God damn it. Quote, to the people who are doing this, when did that ever work for you? God damn it. And And Corey Barlow has also jumped in as well, going, I cannot believe I even have to say this, but don't fucking send dick pics to anyone on this team, or anyone in the industry for that matter, or fucking anyone. I added that last part. That's a bit editorialized there. But they are busting their ass to make something for you to enjoy and show some fucking respect. And then finally, Jason Schreier is still pretty confident it's coming out in November. The rumor mill,
which is the most important part. That's what we're all here to want to hear.
The fuck is wrong with all these people?
If they want to solicit dick pics, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, if Estelle was like send me a dick pic, well then, yeah. But they didn't.
If the Sony Santa Monica account wants to tweet out and say, look, if we receive 1,000 dick pics, we'll give you the release month. And then if we get 2,000, we'll give you the week. And then we'll give you the specific date, the 3,000. Like, they could like Kickstarter this sort of thing, but with payment in dick pics.
Kickstarter.
And like
they could Kickstarter this.
And again, not to the developers, the official. Can you imagine the social media manager who's just getting smashed in their Twitter DMs? But anyway, I can't believe that we have to have this conversation. It's just so petty and stupid, and it's just, and even if we ignore the dick pics, and it is a strange sort of circumstance, this whole thing, but fans have been whipped into a bit of a frenzy over the whole thing through nothing, technically, which has been the weirdest part of the whole thing. But and it is kind of, there's a lot of anxiety around the whole thing because they're saying it is, but there's more and more signs that it isn't. And you've still got, and then you get the likes of Tom Henderson and Jason Schreier that are saying it is the snitch that, you know, they offer dates. We start to get some kind of they're not concrete because they're not official Sony messages, but things that seem pretty conclusive. This is the date, and then they change, and then they change, and then you get Quarry that has kind of popped up back on Twitter out of nowhere, having been gone for several months. Straight up account was gone, not even just inactive. And he's then trying to call people. Like it's a really weird sort of thing that's going on. And I can't work out what could possibly have been the reason why, if the reporting is correct that they were lined up for the 30th and then something changed last minute. Like, what's that something? What's that something that's slows the announcement of the release date down? That's what I don't understand. Because even if it was stock of collector's editions, for example, like we're going to announce these things, and like you don't have to make them available to purchase right away. Like maybe for a couple of weeks, all you can get is the base edition, and then on this date, that's when you'll be able to pre-order your Jotnar editions or your Mjolnir's hammers and whatever the case happens to be. Like, they can kind of pace those things out, so it's not a retail issue. And if the release date seemingly hasn't changed, or the plan for November still hasn't changed, I can't work out what the reason would be for this change, assuming that everything was true in the first place, which is the big disclaimer on the whole thing, that June 30 was never officially confirmed by Sony. But again, you've got three pretty reliable sources at this point. Like, I think we can bundle the snitch up in this reliable source category alongside a Jason Schreier and a Tom Henderson. The track record's squeaky clean up until this point, and even then, snitch kind of highlight it's not going to happen. So even he'd kind of he or she had time to kind of backpedal on their initial messaging. So I can't work out what the thing would be that would even prompt a delay to this.
See, but they're in a look. Sony Santa Monica.
But I'm not too fussed. A date is a date.
They're in a different. They're in a difficult position right now, and this comes for a couple of different reasons. They may have had full intention to do so, but when they started looking in the frenzy, and maybe they even did it just to fuck with these, like to work out who this snitch is, because it seems as if something at Sony Santa Monica is leaking. Maybe they want to plug the leak. Maybe they want to find out where this is coming from. And if maybe they've done a select with it, not like in like a conspiracy theory tinfoil hat, like, hey, here's the date. Don't tell anyone, and then they know exactly who's been leaking, right?
Everyone gets told a different release date.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They just kind of drop a bunch of nonsense and they see what comes out, and that could be part of it. That's certainly possible. But the difficult position that they're in right now is because everyone has a hunger right now. there's, as you said, it's a little bit quiet right now. So everyone has this hunger for new games and new releases. But they seem to be misunderstanding that hunger for dick. And that isn't the case. Like, I don't... well, I'll get to the other stuff in a moment, but I cannot understand how any possible train of thought would go, you know what? She's a woman. She's irresistible to me and my penis.
If I send her a picture of my chode, then I'm going to get a release date for the game that's going to make me bolt upright hard.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just...
You know, I don't... look, even if it was like
also,
two people...
Puck in the chat, hashtag dick starter.
Yeah, dick starters. Like, there's money in dick starters. Yeah. I dropped that before, but I'll give it to Puck. For me, like, it's just... I don't get it. Even if it was one or two people, that's one or two people too many. Like, it's the thing about dick pics in general, right? They have never worked. You've never heard of a story of, you know, at their wedding day, like, oh, you know, I saw them, we matched on Tinder, got a picture of his penis, and I went, you know what? I'm going to marry that dick. Right then and there, I knew that was going... No positive story has started with, that's a dick, and I can't wait. It doesn't happen. Who the fuck thinks, like, who the hell has that much dick hubris to think that they can, like, control and dictate the world with their penis? I don't fucking get it. But yeah, so the difficulty that they have now at Sony Santa Monica is if they go, fine, we'll announce it, the gamer's trademark will be like, we won!
We won!
Ha-ha! Dick pics! Whenever you want an answer to something, just send your dick and they'll cave. Because we're fucking gaming terrorists. You know, like...
Which is where having these... However they're getting to Schreier, Henderson, Snitch, whatever... Having these people kind of being able to report these things is not the worst thing in the world, because for that sort of we won messaging, it kind of shoots it down, because like they were able to confirm beforehand, yeah, it's not going to happen.
No. But this is the other thing as well. This is the other thing that's fascinating. Look, Jason Schreier, legit. Tom Henderson, legit. The snitch seems to be legit. It's starting to happen.
Yeah.
But... it's funny how the goalpost has kept moving.
Yeah.
The three of them were like, 30th of June, it's fucking happening. Hand on a Bible, cross my heart, hope to die, stick a needle in my eye. That's what Jason Schreier tweeted that, it's fact. They were like, it is happening. And then it did, and they went, oh, yeah, we got told that it was moving. We knew, but we didn't say anything.
No, a couple of them were saying beforehand. Tom Henderson was saying
I'm
beforehand.
exaggerating.
Yeah, I thought what you mean.
But the idea is then they suddenly go, oh, you look, yeah, it didn't happen for a reason that we knew about, and yeah, cool. So like it's just, like, oh, we weren't wrong. The information changed.
Yeah.
So suddenly, this track record that say the snitch had, which was pretty good up until this point, you know,
it was perfect up to that point. Yeah.
And I kind of like that he got dethroned a little bit. Like I don't have an issue with a leak. I don't have an issue with a reveal. You know, I understand these things, they happen. It's great for us as content creators, but it's just like, it's fun to see them be put in their place a little bit.
Yeah, I can get around that.
But it's also fun to sort of see them try to wiggle their way back around. But yeah, look, I'm with you. I don't know why it hasn't. My big argument being like they had to do it by now in order to get it out by November. Like a 3-4 month turnaround is probably the best they could, the shortest that I think they could do to actively market the way that
had the marketing cycle that you want.
PlayStation likes to market. And we're in July now. If it's not by the end of this month, then expect 2023 is where I'm sitting anyway.
There's not much wiggle room at that point.
No, as it will break my heart, and you know, as Quarry on Twitter has been like, haha, it's not delayed because they've never set a date. There is no delay, and until there is an original date, and then that original date alters, then is a delay. So he's not incorrect. So him by saying it hasn't been delayed, that doesn't tell us shit. And then additionally, Quarry has very little to no involvement in this game. He is working on something else. He at best is an executive producer. He isn't the creative director. He's not even the director. He didn't write it like he did the previous one. He had, on the record, has kept a distance from this game. Like,
my gut feel is at this point in time, they're probably all hands on deck.
Yeah, they're probably going ham.
If there's a second team, well, there clearly is a second team. Corey's kind of highlighted that with the fact that he's working on a different project. Like, if they've got multiple teams, I think they've all come together now. Like, I think for the next 2 to 3 months, they might be all working together on this thing just to help get it out the door. If the November date is still is the reality and what they're still shooting for, then it'll all be hands on deck at the moment. But you're right. Like, Corey is relatively hands off compared to what he was obviously in the 2018 reboot.
Yeah, and look, as I said, everyone knows, it's on the record on this show, about how much I love God of War 2018, how it's one of the most important games to me ever, that I've ever played.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait for Ragnarok. But even I am reasonable enough to not send my dick to someone. Like, it's just...
You're classy.
It will come. Just wait. Like, the game will release and we'll be told when... It's not as if there's not other shit to play.
Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty. There's still plenty.
Yeah.
Including for you, Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh, what?
Final Fantasy just became a betting game.
Oh.
In the ever-expanding universe of Final Fantasy XIV, few stones have been left unturned in terms of content. However, more is coming to the massively popular MMORPG as according to yesterday's letter from the producer livestream, there has been casino-style minigames, returning card games from previous games in the franchise, like Triple Triad, Chocobo Racing, fashion shows, submarine expeditions, gardening, hunts, and so much more. But here's the stinger for you.
None of that makes it a betting game, Patch. None of it.
Yeah, but here's the stinger for you. Well, now a farming sim is coming to the game.
Ooh.
I think I just heard your desk lift a few inches.
Yeah.
In which players will get their very own island sanctuary. Their players can look after animals, gather resources, build out a farm, and earn a new currency to purchase items. This mode, in addition to the swath of new game quests, fixes, and additions, will come to the MMO as a part of patch 6.2 called Berry Memory, which is out in late August. So, you're going to play Final Fantasy XIV?
No. But, like, I actively considered it.
Well, you got a whole bunch of new farming sims to go play anyway. Prehistoric ones like Roots of Pacha. You've got
I did
Dinkum.
I did watch. Oh man, Dinkum. Oh,
and yeah, I saw your comment on the player too.
Yeah. But yeah, so look, this is a way to get me invested in. Like, this might get me in a Final Fantasy. Like,
but how far do you have to play it?
That is the question.
That?
Like, can I just start the game and go straight to this little island and start farming? That I'm okay with. But even then, like, after playing Rune Factory
5,
whatever which one it was, and I was like, wow, this is the weebiest fucking farming game I've ever played in my life, and I hated it for it. Wouldn't
so you're super excited for Harvestella then, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that the name?
Yeah, because that was from the Nintendo thing. I was like, oh, they're farming. Oh. You know,
it's interesting that, like, kind of there's a season of the year where basically everything's dead. That's kind of interesting.
I love
like,
that.
Not just winter, but like straight up dead. Like, that's it.
Winter is always fun in farming games, but then if you add just the fucking apocalypse for like 3 months of the year, I'm like, all right, cool, I'll come up with that, I suppose. But this may not be enough to get me there. But Padge, you as a massive FF fan, have you dived into the MMORPGs? Could this get you there?
I mean, I'm already there. It's just a matter of actually kind of carving out the time. That and ESO are two things that I really want to play, but I just can't get the time or opportunity at the moment. So
I've given ES a go like 4 times, and I don't have the time as much as I'd love to.
Yeah, the time is the concern for me. So I think both of those are just going to have to be things that I'll wait for when my kids are a little bit older, and I can panic less about what they'll do when, I don't know, I'm a little distracted by whatever's going on screen.
Yeah.
That's when maybe I can look to kind of crack into an MMO. The available game time opens up. Sleeping issues aren't the same. I can actually sit there and maybe binge all night and not worry about it. Like, all those sorts of things that come from kids that sleep all night. Jeez, I wish I had that. So yeah, look, I'm into both of them. I want to play both of them. The farming sim component doesn't add anything to it for me because I was already in. we'll just wait. Let's gotta wait.
Yeah, look, for me, I expect if I did boot it up, I'd be like, yeah, give me that farming sim, and I would just be disappointed. And, and that's the concern. But look, I'm not the only one that has felt disappointment this week. Because this week, there had been shaky rumors regarding previous Sucker Punch properties, mostly Infamous and Sly Cooper, and they've been doing the rounds for years now. And they've only increased in frequency since the Sony first-party studio released its biggest game yet with the Ghost of Tsushima back in 2019. So there was widespread Infamous rumor-making headlines back in September of last year, and then Sly Cooper had its turn a couple of months ago in March. And on both these accounts, everyone was advised to be cautious, because nothing concrete ever came from these whispers, and now we know why. Sucker Punch has confirmed that no Infamous or Sly Cooper projects are planned or in development. In a new
with them or externally.
With them or externally. In a new blog post, it states, quote, "With our focus on our current project, we have no plans to revisit Infamous or Sly Cooper right now. And no other studio is currently working on projects related to those franchises either. These characters are very special and near and dear to our hearts. So while we'd never say never to reopening those doors down the road, for now, there is no Infamous or Sly Cooper games in development. Therefore, those aforementioned rumors were absolute nonsense. And we can only assume that their current project is likely the Ghost of Tsushima sequel, as it's been heavily hinted through job openings that is what they are working on. Now, Infamous I'd like to go back to. That would have been rad. And I was hoping to do it, obviously, but no PS Now here in Australia. It makes it very hard. But
we'll get there.
I know you have your heart for Sly and Infamous.
Oh, Infamous is definitely the pick of them, though, for me still.
Yeah.
But yes, I do have a soft spot for Sly.
Does this bum you out?
Yeah, I'm bummed out. I really wanted to believe the Sly rumor. I felt like Infamous was less likely, and I think that's because of the Spider-Man component and everything going on with that, and you add Wolverine into it, and like it's... I don't know. I don't know what... they do. Now that this Marvel DC sort of train is really picking up pace in the video game scene, I don't know what room there is for like an original IP that is like a superhero game.
Yeah.
So even Infamous, that's obviously been there and done it, it's a known commodity. Its potential is just nothing compared to what any of those Marvel or DC IP can achieve. So it's a hard one for them.
You brought up a really good point when it comes to the likes of what Insomniac's doing. Like if you look over at Spider-Man, like Sucker Punch could release an Infamous game, and even if it's amazing, it will seem somewhat derivative compared to Spider-Man because their traversal mechanics are very similar. Hence why the rumor mill for the longest time when we heard about this Spider-Man game was like, it's a Sucker Punch game, and like jokes on you, it was Insomniac the whole time.
Well, it's Insom, yeah.
So that's like, and then obviously Sly Cooper had a very similar, a lot of the sort of grind railing sort of traversal, very similar to that of Infamous. So I can understand why they're not going back. They have a new IP that was incredibly successful, and they're just moving forward with that. Like, even though Ghost of Tsushima wasn't for me, just because I don't have that affection and or love for Japanese culture, especially Japanese ninja or samurai culture. And the gameplay was great, and it was just they took a bunch of the different things that Ubisoft games did and did them better. But just because I don't care about fucking katanas, it just didn't land for me. So the idea of them working on a sequel makes complete sense. And if I was them, I'd prioritize that over those ones and almost immediately.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I understand why they're doing what they're doing. I guess I'm confused as to why they felt the need to put this message out. Like even those account NGT, I think was the Twitter handle, the one that had this squeaky clean record as well with all the Star Wars Eclipse stuff. Like it leaked that before the announcement. There was the Hogwarts Legacy stuff. There was several different games where this person clearly had a finger on the pulse. And then they came out and said early in the year, might have been Feb, March, that sort of ballpark, that there is Sly. And Sly is going to be announced kind of in the back end of this year. So for them to kind of come out and announce like this, firstly, dashes those hopes, but is still weird because it's been quite a while now where like that kind of messaging has just fizzled out and disappeared. Like,
I
why didn't you squash it at the time? If you were trying to make a message like this, why didn't you squash it at the time? And I'm not trying to suggest that there's any sort of creative stuff here that they go, surprise, we lied to you, or look at how we just, we were careful with our words here. We said it's not happening now, but it's actually in pre-production. I don't think there's any funny bugger stuff like that, but it's interesting that they came out to address it at all.
Well, to me, it makes sense. So if you look over, if they addressed it when the rumor mill came out, everyone goes, well, of course you would say that if you're working on it. Fucking Tom Henderson said that you're doing it. He's trustworthy. Well, we'd believe him over you, the people that are making it. So by them dropping it out of the blue now, it actually adds a lot of legitimacy. Because if this was announced on the back of everyone going, it's happening. Like right now, it's happening literally. Back to the story we did 2 stories ago, God of War. Yeah. Quarry come out going, it's not delayed. Everyone's like, we don't believe you. Because it's the timing, right? Yeah, so by them doing it out of nowhere, they're just going, hey, look, just so you all know, it ain't happening. Because very similar to every Capcom social media and or video, they're like, where the fuck's Dino Crisis?
Where is Dino Crisis?
Yeah, it's a good point. but like Capcom have never addressed it. Instead, they tease it heavily with Exoprimal. You know what I mean?
They teased it heavily yesterday because it was
the anniversary. 23rd anniversary. Fucks. You know what I mean? So like what they're doing is essentially going, maybe. But all that does is just makes every comment section cesspool. You know, and like every time Sucker Punch want to promote something, they go, that's not Sly Cooper, that's not Infamous, with Cole McGrath. You know, stuff like that, right? So this is them nipping it in the bud. They go, hey, just so you know, not happening. Something cool's coming, but it's not right now. To me, that makes sense, right? You know, and especially on the back of like the news that we heard last week of like Kojima being like, hey, man, I had this really cool fucking idea for this superhero game, but then I watched The Boys. Turns out they have the exact idea that I had for a game, so I ain't going to make that anymore. I was like, oh, that's a bold strategy.
Cotton. Speaking of The Boys, Aloy could be one of them.
Well, not really, but
in a weird backwards way. Yeah. A little while back, the information was dropped that a Horizon TV series was in the works with Sony and Netflix, but very few specific details were provided. As spotted by journalist Jeff Grubb, or at least someone who maybe told Jeff, whatever, I don't know. He's too many fingers and too many pies. And was expanded upon by VGC, we now know that the show is to be called Horizon 2074. Horizon 2077 would be a far worse product. Just taking shots at Cyberpunk. That it includes production talent that has previously worked on The Boys. Jack Boehm, is that how you pronounce it? And The Expanse's Michelle Brady. And the show will be filmed in Toronto. Now, we've also learned about that, and the reason why these details have basically come out in the first place is because there are financial tax incentives to record and set the product in Toronto.
Dude, there are so many shows are filmed in Canada because like the two places of Toronto and Vancouver are the two places that they go to because there's insane tax breaks to go there and do it in the same way that so many movies get filmed out of the Gold Coast. Like all the Marvel movies, because like the Queensland government just incentivizes the fuck out of it, the same way that Canada does.
But because of that, you've got to kind of officially document stuff in a fairly public manner, and so it's just been pretty easily uncovered as a result. Grubb subsequently claimed in the recent episode of The Giant Bomb, I think it was his Grub Snacks episode, that Horizon 2074 will take place across 2 timelines. He says the show, as pitched right now, is to be called Horizon 2074, and it will split its time between the timeline you see in the games and the timeline of when things begin to fall, Grubb said. The idea is that this is not a reboot or a remake or sort of a reimagining of the game's storyline. It will take place parallel and sort of explain other elements that happened in the game. Which is interesting, probably for the better, I suppose. Yeah. It is kind of, I think if you do try to recreate stuff, you're entering dangerous, risky space that only very few can dare tread. And I say that knowing that HBO is recreating a lot of The Last of Us right now. But that is a different tier, I think, and even the talent that they've got involved. Like I think there's more of an assurance that you can have if you're HBO, if you're Neil Druckmann, like everyone involved with you go, we've got the people, we've got the chops to be able to do this, as opposed to this, which is not to say it's going to be a bad product, but the no commodity thing, the belief in your own abilities, that sort of stuff, it's not necessarily the same.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like Herman Holst is a name, but he's kind of disconnected from Gorilla at the moment. So like they can't do the same thing. If we got Druckmann, they can't be like we got Holst, because like that's not the same effect. And because like, I don't think Herman wrote it. I think he just sort of did direct it. Where like Druckmann,
they got some ex-Obsidian writers in
where
the
like
first place. Yeah,
Druckmann was so integral in the creation of The Last of Us. To have him over there is good. I know this is relative news, but 2074, what a shit name. Like it is, yes, technically it's the year that it's set in, and you know, like
it could be just a placeholder name.
Yeah, and we do know that it's set in the future and sort of stuff, like spoilers for the game. But like, it's a shit name. Toronto makes sense. That's not really impressive news. The two timeline stuff I actually kind of like. Because
I'm alright with that.
Yeah, when we play Horizon, it's just all set now. Or the now and the
present of
the game, and then everything's done through holograph things, right? But where that's gonna look like shit in TV, watching someone do this and stare at a hologram, sorry. But then having it cut to a full shot timeline, past, makes way more sense to me. If anything, this is what I thought they'd be doing with the God of War series. They'd have it here, and then they'd flash back to him in Greek mythology.
In Greece,
to establish some of the stuff heading into the Norse mythology. And there's nothing saying they can't do it to both of them. You know, it's a great storytelling device. But yeah, there's got to be a better name. It's got to be.
Yeah, I think that's probably just a placeholder for now. And again, like the Toronto thing and the tax breaks, I think they are going to be very important, because probably compared to all of those other series that they've got in development, Last of Us, God of War, and GT, this is going to be the more expensive one.
Yeah, we discussed this a couple of weeks ago when they announced the Amazon connection with God of War, etc. And it's one of those things, and this is why Netflix was picked. Like, although this was before Netflix started just fucking crumbling around us, like their stocks plummeting, and they've like fired a stack of people. Like they had the money to like back up CG, like in the same way that we see when they pick a show and they run with it, like Stranger Things as an example. Like they throw money at it and they put time and resources, and hopefully they do that with Horizon. So I imagine with Stranger Things possibly wrapping, I think they've got one more season in them.
One more season.
Who knows whenever that drops.
And look, yeah, when Netflix finds the right thing, you're right. They throw the kitchen sink at it financially, and it usually pays dividends. The premiere numbers for part 2 of Stranger Things from yesterday were just incredible. Like the record things, the whole service crashed for a while. Everything was a bit of a shit show for quite a period last night, as I was gearing up to start watching the finale. Thanks, everyone. Still got it done. Got 4 hours. Yeah, you got to fix that, mate. You will lose your mind over this.
I reckon I would.
Yeah, you got time. You can just watch seasons 1 to 4 in preparation for 5. Jump on that bandwagon, pretend you were there all along.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like a similar sort of story here. Like if they can recognize that what they've got and throw the kitchen sink at it, and again, there's a degree of proof in the pudding already. They've got The Witcher. They've seen what The Witcher's done, and I think they could feel somewhat confident they could replicate that.
Well, yeah, because they've seen, back again, that hunger that comes from just the gaming audience that'll happily go across, and then the lore is so like desirable, at least for Horizon, right? Like there is so much greater potential within that as the world expands, and there's just all these little things that you can do, and depending on, I imagine they're not going to wrap everything up in like 13 episodes or whatever. That would make no sense. So hopefully that means there's a lot of potential for growth and ambition, and sort of as they scale up, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like even the scale of what's involved CG wise and stuff is very different, but there's no reason why they can't apply a very Witcher style model to this as well. Like in the case of The Witcher, you do have that monster of the week style thing every now and then, a bit like what Supernatural used to have back in the day. It's a ghost this time, or it's this or it's that. Like there would be that kind of tentpole they built the whole thing around, and you could have a similar sort of thing going in here where there's a snap more that's causing all sorts of issues, and Aloy or whoever it happens to focus on is kind of traipsing through this area, but then there's this story that evolves around that, and yet there's still little threads along the way that connect what's just happened in that one episode to the larger thing. That means you can still have a really impactful season finale and all those sorts of things. But it means that you can prolong the story, not in a bloated, ugly shit sort of way, but in a way that keeps people constantly engaged. Like there's a really fascinating sort of overall narrative there, but then some really cool sub stories along the way.
And having that dual timeline, it will actually allow them to have, say, if they do each season, say 13 episodes, that actually allows them to spread the budget out. Like, so
yeah,
they're like, well, we're going to have 4 episodes over this season that are just set in the past. So therefore the budget, they don't have to make machines or whatever. So that when they do have the episodes where a Thunderjaw rocks up, they can throw the money in having the Thunderjaw look awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Oh man, I really can't wait. It's gonna be so good. Absolutely.
I mean, I guess we've already seen it, because how good does Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West look?
Especially on my sexy television.
You're gonna have to send me the link to that TV afterwards. I think I'm gonna have to buy one so we can just wax lyrical about the TV.
Yeah, like I'll take a Samsung sponsorship. I'll do it for free, but already. But look, speaking of free, these are your PS Plus games that are coming out this month. So July's 2022's PS Plus games have been officially announced, and yet again, those goddamn leaks were spot on. And as per usual, you're getting 3 games, some of the PS5 and the PS4. They are as follows: Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time for PS5 and PS4. The Dark Pictures Anthology, Man of Medan on PS4. And Arcadegeddon, which is now finally in its 1.0 version, its full release over on PS5 and the PS4. Now, for those playing at home, Dark Pictures Anthology is part of your PS Plus Extra and or Deluxe or Premium. So, okay. And I'm positive Crash Bandicoot's been on there before.
No, the Insane Trilogy was a part of the PS Plus collection.
Okay,
but four hasn't been. But for some reason, I had the idea, and I think I might be wrong, but for some reason, I had the idea that Crash 4 was part of Extra as well.
It's
not.
Maybe.
And then the weird one is Arcadegeddon is now 1.0. So it's weird in the sense that all these are games that you could kind of get free in other ways.
Yeah, but like, see, this is the challenge, right? So, in the same way that games with gold are fucking useless since Game Pass was brought in, Sony always had that advantage. PlayStation always had this strength that at least your monthly quote unquote free games were awesome, or at least even their subpar months were pretty alright. I look at this and this is shit.
I guess the other thing to kind of keep in mind
blows, and like especially on the back of the Quarry, which is better. So I understand why there's a connection here. Hey, not everyone played Man of Medan. The Quarry's just out. Before you jump into the Quarry, why don't you play a shitter version? Like it does, like it gets Supermassive's name out into the conversation, even though it's already there. Don't know why. Crash Bandicoot, as I said, feel like it's already been on there. Arcadegeddon didn't get a whole lot of love even when it fucking launched in early access. It is a very, very lackluster month, and especially the month after the launch of the expanded PS Plus puts if I were them, I would have made this month fucking awesome. Just to
and look,
not
they do have and you
have
to be an extra subscriber or higher, but you do get Stray on July 19 as well if you're an extra
then
subscriber.
That's not part of your PS Plus Essentials.
But it's not part of the Essentials, so it's just that was kind of the disclaimer. There is another game this month. It's just you got to have an extra $5 a month.
It's like, as I said, but to me, that's
You're still right. I agree.
So the idea is that means they're wanting you to pay more. Like if you just have the same PS Plus you've always had, you are missing out. And that was the greatest fear, that the second they added these additional tiers, the lower tier would get shit on. And at least so far it has. And like that is the sky is falling, but the history has shown, we look at the direct competitor, they stopped caring. I hope
they've got to be smarter about the games that are available, the selections going forward.
Yeah, I hope PlayStation haven't made the same choice.
I think we could be wrong about Crash 4, but yeah, certainly the other two, we're definitely bang on the money about Man of Medan, and Arcade Again is, yeah, it's just a weird, tricky one. I get it, but it's odd.
If it was for me, at least, as I said, optically, I would have just made the first month a fucking banger, and then made August shit and September shit. And then, like, that way, at least it doesn't initially, like, the initial perception isn't that they're going the other way about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you. No, I'm with you. I completely agree. You want me to do quick bits?
Actually, no, fuck it. I'll run in those quick bits for you. You get to be the you get to be the reaction man.
Oh, hang on. Let me do the first one for you.
All right, go ahead.
Ryan, Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town has been dated for PS4 on the 29th of July. Less than a month. Less than a month to go.
Oh, boy. I mean, we have only been waiting so long, Paul. So long.
It's... Let's hope we have hands on it fairly soon, because I don't.
You and I have both put requests in.
Yeah.
I haven't reached out to the local distributor here yet, because like they've changed, and even they haven't sent any blasts out about it yet. So I don't even know whether they're still handling Marvelous anymore. But like, god damn, like, you and I did our review discussion. It is on the channel for it on the Switch.
And we loved it, but the performance issues were a big issue.
Yeah, the throttling of the Switch was so gnarly. Especially when your farm started getting busy, because that's what you need to do in order to churn out all those gold bars and planks of wood, etc. You got to start like going crazy, and it just chewed through that game. So hopefully, God, I want it so bad. We hope with the bigger like the fucking run time, the lead time that we had even with Mineral Town on PlayStation was huge.
Very generous. So I'm pretty excited. I'm hopeful that this week. I don't know, like that's maybe being too presumptuous, and again, that's a luxurious position that we're in here, and I don't want to ever take it for granted, but jeez, like,
I could get it 2 days, I could get it the day after release, I'm still going to be fucking stoked.
Yeah, it's true.
But like,
I just want to play it.
I'll just buy it if I don't get it. Like, it's one of those games I'm like, I'm going to buy this fucking game. All right, more quick bits.
I'll leave the rest to you.
The Skate 4 dev Full Circle has released pre-alpha footage of the upcoming game and the ability to apply for closed beta testing. I know Max has jumped in on the closed beta. He's put his application to be like, let me play the games. You're not a big skateboarder, Pad, so did you play the skate games?
No.
No.
I mean, I liked Tony Hawk back in the day when I was on the PS1.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just...
No. Skate is...
I might play it when it comes out.
Yeah. Skate is the better skateboarding game. I'm sorry, Tony Hawk, you had your time. You fumbled it. But Skate is awesome. Skate 4 looks really good. It looks to have the same DNA and energy as the original. Big thumbs up. Overwatch 2 will be supporting 120 frames per second on PS5, but it will also have different performance options, quote unquote, as well as VRR support. So, if I was to play it on my TV, it would be amazing. But I'm not playing it, because Overwatch 2 is poo, as is Overwatch 1. Ubisoft's long-in-development pirate game Skull and Bones is also apparently wanting to release in November. On the 8th of November, to be exact, according to the Xbox Store listings and that old bastard Tom Henderson.
This guy. Popping up left, right, and center.
Fucking guy. Jane Foster, the Lady Thor, is joining Marvel's Avengers for anyone that's fucking playing that game anymore. Because everyone's moved over to Fall Guys, apparently. Since it's gone free to play, over 20 million people have been playing the Battle Royale Bean game, which did drop off really fucking quick. So hopefully this stays around a little bit longer.
Yeah, 20 million is a pretty awesome number.
It's a honking number.
And what it really does, and what I'm really excited for, is the fact that because they've kind of put out a new version of it, and there's all these new players in there, that trophy rarity that I've got for the plat, that's gone right down. Like, that's even more and more impressive, I'm sure.
Oh,
stoked.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, just a little brag there from Pat, which is nice. And finally, the first photo of the PSVR 2 in the flesh or on a leather seat has leaked to Reddit, and it looks exactly like the 3D renders that we've seen in the videos, etc. It looks tiny. It looks tinier than the actual original PSVR.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing that's interested me most about the picture that's come out is the cord length of all things. because in like the shiny pictures that the official stuff from Sony, they've not shown the cord. Like it's kind of photoshopped out and all that sort of stuff. So it looks like I mean the cord at full extension on the original PSVR was 4.4 meters.
Yeah. But once again,
I mean, it's hard to get a rig still bound up, but it looks like it could be longer than that. They could be pretty generous here.
Once again, these are very clearly going to be dev versions. These are not the retail versions. So as a result, I imagine there are some minor things. So the cord may be shorter in the dev version, so it's close to the PC or whatever. Who knows? But yeah, I imagine the retail version of even this headset, it looks like the retail version, but I'm sure it's in the same way that like the old. Some dev kits look exactly like the retail version, but
yeah, it's true.
So it might be that too. But I'm excited. It looks fucking great. It looks tiny. And like there's a little curved front of it just actually makes it look smaller. It doesn't look as bulky as there's a PSVR 1, which has me excited.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Probably early next year at this point, but whenever it comes, I'll get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start sucking a whole bunch of dick to get that money. Can't wait. New PlayStation releases for this week. Matchpoint Tennis Champions coming to PS5 on the 7th of July. Mad Eye Sun coming to PS5 on the 8th of July. And Klonoa Fantasy Reverie Series PS5 8th of July. And Eurokill, the Culmination Games Deluxe Edition PS5 8th of July. Bunch of fucking nonsense. Absolute games. No. Play the Quarry. Play Outriders Worldslayer or whatever. Go play that.
Yeah, enjoy games that came out in previous weeks.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. There we go. That does bring us to the end of the show. A nice, decent
meaty
one there. Meaty, an hour and a half, approximately. Not too bad.
It's good shit.
Yeah, man.
And glad to be back.
Man, when you and I get fucking chatting, it's always a blast. And
which is exactly why we need to play some Outriders together.
Damn right we do.
And Borderlands or Tiny Tina.
Tiny Tina's.
It's on. It's on.
We'll make it work. But big thank you to everyone for joining us. Once again, as I say each and every week, the greatest thing you can do is share your time with someone in the same way that Padge has very kindly shared it with myself. Thank you for taking time out of your week to listen to our absolute bullshit. If you want to hear more bullshit coming from Padge, where can you hear it?
player2.net.au, Dev Diary podcast. Go check that one out, please. As you mentioned before, lots of cool guests coming to the show, pretty regular sort of clip. I am, and I will happily declare this one. I think the last time we spoke, I had to confirm that our Insomniac one fell over, which is a bit of a shame. But people would have learnt last week. I think you discussed it on the show. No, not about me getting this person as a guest, but a new game from this person. Michael Mumbower and John Garvin were getting together. Well, Michael's a former guest of the show. John's someone I've been trying to get on the show for quite some time. Michael is helping me to get John on the show. We are conversing via email at the moment. He has already said yes. We now just need to work out a time. So John Garvin is going to be coming on the show sometime in the near-ish future to talk about all things Sony Ben, this new console, Hedera network, NFT, all sorts of cool stuff. I'm really fascinated actually, and I guess without kind of breaching too much kind of friendly kind of confidentiality stuff, like Michael and I were having a decent chat about all that stuff the other day, and he was sharing some really, I mean, I didn't have the greatest understanding of all things NFT. I just, kind of pick up what you hear online and bad for the environment and this and that. And obviously we see, Bored Apes and all those sorts of horrible things that really paint a pretty bad picture. And as it turns out, like from what Michael's explained to me, there is a lot of cool stuff that's going on in there now. And it just, he is of the belief that stuff just needs to bubble to the surface. Mm. That stuff is getting lost at the moment amongst the bullshit that is out there. He compared that to people trying to make computers out of like panels and kind of boarding shit up back in the day. But there's this other side of it that's going on that's just not getting seen at the moment. And he's hoping that what they can do will be one of the first pieces of evidence that suggests, hey, like this is actually possible. But the other thing that hasn't really been spoken about in any of the reporting at all is that if you don't want any of that NFT stuff, play on a console. You won't have to worry about it. It won't be there.
There you
go.
This
is like so it's coming to console, it's coming to PC, it's coming to this Hedera network thing, but they are all isolated things. So if you want NFTs and all that sort of stuff, you have to go through that. I think it's Hedera or whatever, how it was pronounced, whatever the name of it was. I don't know because I don't know NFTs. like if that's what you want to get yourself involved in, you can do it that way. But you don't have to. You can play the core proper experience, which means we're getting a game that when I said to Michael, hey, some of the screenshots you've put out kind of gives me Resistance vibes. He quite actively did not acknowledge that one way or the other, just kind of breezed straight past it. We were amidst a fairly busy conversation at the time, so I don't think there was anything kind of too sus about that. But I don't know. The screenshots of Ashfall out there do kind of give me some Resistance vibes, so I'm hopeful that's kind of the path they go down. And then for that to be written by John Garvin is really, really promising. So look forward to talking to John about all of that stuff, hopefully sometime soon. We're just trying to work out a time.
Sounds
Beyond that, as you mentioned early on, I do a lot of news stuff for Game Ranks. Just trying to churn stuff out while it's school holidays at the moment, punch out as many news pieces as I can, share the word of basically, I think, almost everything we've discussed today. I've written news posts about so far this week. And yeah, that's about it.
And of course, you can see him over at Twitter at Paul James Games.
Of course.
Got to head over there. It's a good place to go. But this PlayStation conversation happens at 8 a.m. Wait, what was at 8 a.m. on your podcast services, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to jump in on that PlayStation conversation, you can by heading over to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, all those links in the description below. But if you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculturist, where you can watch us record this show live, where you can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation Pod. If you are listening on those podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you are watching on the YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. And if you want to support us financially, you can over at patreon.com/thepopculturist, as well as our merchandise store, popculturist.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit without logos on it. Or you can help support the brands, help support us, just like our friends over at Manscaped. If you go to au.manscaped.com, use the promo code FTP, save yourself 20% off, and you get free worldwide shipping. But until next week, I'm Ryan Betson.
And I'm Paul James.
And that was For the Players. What's the score on the sports?
Cats 12-10-82 to 5-1-31. Absolutely, and we're taking the piss now.